Have you ever wondered what would happen if demons asked for forgiveness? The answer might shock you. In this video, we'll uncover the powerful and surprising response God gave when demons pleaded for mercy. Stay tuned as we delve into these hidden truths and their profound implications. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure you hit the notification bell so that you know when we publish a new video. So let's simplify and discuss the shocking answer God gave the demons after they asked for forgiveness. Now, as a short recap, according to the book of Enoch, angels known as watchers descended under the heavens. These watchers, along with their leaders, took wives for themselves, each choosing one, and they began to be intimate with earthly women, defiling themselves. They taught secrets of heaven to their earthly wives. The women became pregnant and gave birth to giants, known as Nephilim, who were 3,000 cubits tall. If two Nephilim had a baby, it was called Eliod. These giants' generations grew and continued to gain power. The book of Enoch states that these giants consumed all the resources that men had acquired. At one point, it became impossible to feed the Nephilim with what humans were eating. When those resources could no longer sustain the giants, they began to consume and devour mankind. Yes, mankind, as in human beings like you and me. According to Enoch, these giants were eating and killing God's creation. When no humans were available, they sinned against birds, beasts, reptiles, and fish. It got to the point where these giants were even eating each other and drinking fresh blood. The Watchers' generation continued to mix with humans and anything else they could get their hands on. They also taught humans forbidden knowledge, like how to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates, and how to use paint, dyes, enchantments, and astrology, among other things. Because of this, there was widespread godlessness. People committed fornication, were led astray, and became corrupt in many ways. As men were dying and being destroyed, they cried out, and their voices reached heaven. After all of this had happened, God sent his archangels, Uriel, Gabriel, Raphael, and Michael, to start punishing the watchers for their crimes. God also called Enoch and stated, "Enoch, thou scribe of righteousness, go, declare to the watchers of the heaven who have left the high heaven, the holy eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women, and have done as the children of earth do, and have taken unto themselves wives. Ye have wrought great destruction on the earth, and ye shall have no peace nor forgiveness of sin. And inasmuch as they delight themselves in their children, the murder of their beloved ones shall they see, and over the destruction of their children shall they lament, and shall make supplication unto eternity. But mercy and peace shall ye not attain." God instructed Enoch to deliver this message to the watchers that because they had abandoned their holy place, married human women, and caused great destruction on earth, they would not find peace or forgiveness for their sins. Their beloved children would all be destroyed, and the watchers would witness this destruction. They would continue to mourn, beg, and ask God for forgiveness, but they would never receive it. After hearing all of this from God, Enoch followed God's instructions. First, Enoch went to the watcher Azazel and stated, "Azazel, thou shalt have no peace. A severe sentence has gone forth against thee to put thee in bonds, and thou shalt not have toleration nor request granted to thee, because of the unrighteousness which thou hast taught, and because of all the works of godlessness and unrighteousness and sin, which thou hast shown to men." Enoch told Azazel that he would have no peace and would face severe punishment for teaching humanity unrighteousness. Then Enoch turned to all the watchers and delivered the message God had instructed. This terrified the watchers. After Enoch said all this, they begged and asked Enoch to write a petition for forgiveness to God. The watchers could no longer directly speak with God because of their shame.
Enoch, being the kind person he is, agreed to write a petition for forgiveness. He even prayed about the spirit of the watcher and each of their deeds committed so that they should be forgiven. Pause. Fun fact of the day. Did you know that Enoch was known as Enoch the scribe? Many of the watchers would call him this due to the role that God had placed him in. Now, after writing this letter, Enoch went and sat down at the waters of Dan in the land of Dan. He read their petition until he ended up falling asleep. When Enoch fell asleep, he had a dream where he received visions of punishment and a commandment to deliver a message to the watchers. Once Enoch woke up, he went to the watchers, who were all gathered together and crying in a place called Abel's jail. Enoch shared his visions with the watchers, stating, "I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared thus that your petition will not be granted unto you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has been finally passed upon you. Yea, your petition will not be granted unto you, And henceforth you shall not ascend into heaven unto all eternity.
and in bonds of the earth the decree has gone forth to bind you for all the days of the world.
And previously you shall have seen the destruction of your beloved sons,
And you shall have no pleasure in them. But they shall fall before you by the sword,
and your petition on their behalf.
shall not be granted nor yet on your own, even though you weep and pray and speak all the words contained in the writing which I have written."
Enoch first states before this verse that God had given him the ability to rebuke the watchers, and he let them know what God had said in his dream. Enoch said that despite the watchers pleading, their petitions for mercy will not be granted, and they are condemned to be bound on earth forever, witnessing the destruction of their sons. Now, I want everyone to pay very close attention, because the book of Enoch gave us a possible glimpse into heaven. I will do my best to illustrate what Enoch had described, but obviously my illustration could never be compared. Now Enoch continued telling the watchers about his dream.
He stated, "Behold, in the vision clouds invited me, and a mist summoned me, and the course of the stars and the lightning sped and hastened me, and the winds in the vision caused me to fly and lifted me upward and bore me into heaven. And I went in till I drew nigh to a wall which is built of crystals and surrounded by tongues of fire, and it began to affright me. And I went into the tongues of fire and drew nigh to a large house which was built of crystals, and the walls of the house were like a tessellated floor made of crystals, and its groundwork was of crystal. Its ceiling was like the path of the stars and the lightnings, and between them were fiery cherubim, and their heaven was clear as water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its portals blazed with fire. And I entered into that house, and it was hot as fire and cold as ice. There were no delights of life therein. Fear covered me, and trembling got hold upon me, and as I quaked and trembled, I fell upon my face."
Enoch pretty much had stated that a mist was calling for him, and a cloud invited him up to heaven. The winds in his vision lifted him up, causing him to fly into heaven. In the dream, Enoch reaches a wall made of crystal, surrounded by flames, which startle and frighten him. He goes through the flames and approaches a large house made entirely of crystals.
The ceiling of this house is like the path of stars and lightning.
Between them, there are fiery angelic beings called cherubim. The house is surrounded by a flaming fire. When Enoch enters, he feels an extreme contrast of heat and cold, indicating a place devoid of any normal comforts or joys of life. Fear grips him, causing him to tremble. Enoch, at this point, falls down to the ground, overwhelmed with fear. Enoch continued to explain his dream. He stated, "And I beheld a vision, and lo, there was a second house,
greater than the former, and the entire portal stood open before me, and it was built to flames of fire, and in every respect it so excelled in splendor and magnificence, and extent that I cannot describe to you its splendor and its extent. And its floor was of fire, and above it were lightnings and the path of the stars, and its ceiling also was flaming fire. And I looked and saw there in a lofty throne. Its appearance was as crystal, and the wheels thereof as the shining sun. And there was the vision of cherubim, and from underneath the throne came streams of flaming fire, so that I could not look thereon. And the great glory sat thereon, and his raiment shone more brightly than the sun, and was whiter than any snow. None of the angels could enter and could behold his face by reason of the magnificence and glory, and no flesh could behold him. The flaming fire was round about him, and a great fire stood before him, and none around could draw nigh him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, yet he needed no counselor, and the most holy ones who were nigh to him did not leave by night nor depart from him. Enoch stated that he had seen another house,
but this house was much bigger, with an open portal and built of flames. The house is so magnificent that Enoch finds it beyond description. Inside, he sees a majestic throne resembling crystal, surrounded by cherubim, with streams of flaming fire coming from beneath. Seated on the throne is the great glory, whose radiance surpasses the sun, and who is clothed in garments whiter than snow. No one, not even angels, can look upon his face due to his immense glory and brightness. The great glory is surrounded by blazing fire, making it impossible for anyone to approach him. Despite being surrounded by countless beings, he requires no counselor. The holiest beings stay near him constantly, never leaving his presence. After seeing all of this, Enoch trembled and stayed on the ground. He is then called by the Lord himself to listen to his words. God stated,
"Come here that you know and hear my word.
Fear not, Enoch, thou righteous man and scribe of righteousness. Approach hither and hear my voice."
One of the holy beings helps Enoch rise, guiding him to approach the door as he bows down. God stated to Enoch,
"And go say to the watchers of heaven, who have sent thee to intercede for them, you should intercede for men, and not men for you. Wherefore have ye left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, and taken to yourselves wives, and done like the children of earth, and begotten giants as your sons. And though you were holy, spiritual, living the eternal life, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women, and have begotten children with the blood of flesh, and, as the children of men, have lusted after flesh and blood, as those also do who die and perish. Therefore have I given them wives also, that they might impregnate them, and beget children by them, that thus nothing might be wanting to them on earth. But you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal life, and immortal for all generations of the world. And therefore I have not appointed wives for you, for as for the spiritual ones of the heaven, in heaven is their dwelling." The Lord reassures Enoch not to fear, and instructs him to deliver a message to the watchers, who had sent him to intercede on their behalf. The Lord criticizes the watchers for asking humans to intercede for them, emphasizing that it should be the other way around. The watchers, being spiritual beings, have left their high, holy position in heaven. The watchers are condemned for having relationships with human women, thus defiling themselves and producing offspring, giants. This act went against their spiritual nature and eternal life, making them lustful like mortal men. The Lord explains that marriage and procreation are meant for humans to ensure the continuation of life on earth. As spiritual beings, the watchers were not intended to have wives or children. God then continued by stating,
"And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling." Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and from the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin. They shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. As for the spirits of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling. But as for the spirits of the earth which were born upon the earth, on the earth shall be their dwelling.
And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men, and against the women, because they have proceeded from them.
God let Enoch know that the giants born from these forbidden unions are to be regarded as evil spirits on earth. These spirits originate from both men and the fallen watchers and are destined to dwell on earth.
The evil spirits, originating from the giants, will cause suffering and destruction on earth. They will be hungry and thirsty, but will not consume food. Their nature is to bring trouble, affliction, and rise against humans, particularly targeting women. Now, the last thing that God stated to Enoch for him to tell the watchers was this:
And now, as to the watchers who have sent thee to intercede for them, who had been aforetime in heaven, say to them, You have been in heaven, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you, and you knew worthless ones, and these in the hardness of your hearts you have made known to the women. And through these mysteries women and men work much evil on earth.
God pretty much let the watchers know that the so-called secrets they had shared with the humans were the worthless ones, and the mysteries of the earth and heavens had not yet been revealed to them.
Okay, guys, I know that was a lot. But now we know after the watchers had sinned, they sought forgiveness and to return to standing with God. However, this was not given to them due to the outrageous amount of sin committed with their own doing. God gives a stern warning and judgment to the watchers for abandoning their divine nature and corrupting themselves, leading to widespread evil and chaos on earth. Hopefully, you guys were able to learn something new from this video.